What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that movement, we have reached directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we're broadcasting live on September 20th, 2025. And we're getting into the fall weather here in my part of the world. But I'll tell you, the weather has been, as my dad would say, beautiful over the last week. We haven't had any nice, decent temperatures, no humidity. You can sleep at night with your window open, nice little breeze, cool out, all that stuff. It is just a wonderful, wonderful time. But you know what? You're not here for me. I don't think you are. In fact, I know you're not. You're here for two outstanding ladies. Now, one of the ladies isn't here, but we got a triad basically these days. We got a triad. So it is time for Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Dr. Tachi. LaLa is here. Dr. Tachi isn't because it's her birthday weekend.
Yes, Aisha's birthday. We're sending her love.
Yeah, she's celebrating, but we always take any form of Dr. Tachi because I know LaLa used to call it she's a Tarjay. So I brought from LaLa and said, Dr. Tachi is in the house. How's things going, ladies?
Good. It's been a busy week. You know, I want to share one thing that I want to encourage people on is this week I went for my first colonoscopy. It was not as bad as many people say that it was. I had a very positive experience. I came out with flying colors, but I want to encourage others because I know that it's not pleasant for a lot of people to think, but honestly, you need to take care of your body, mind, and spirit. So I'm encouraging those who may be a little scared about going to actually go. It's not that bad. You get some good sleep.
Yeah. Dr. Tachi, have you been through that experience at all?
First of all, well, here's the thing. I'm listening to LaLa, and fortunately, I have a doctor who was proactive and was like, so I was 35. He was like, okay, I'm scheduling you for a colonoscopy. Well, and actually I had one because I thought, I was always like, what's wrong? And it turned out to be nothing, but I had one early. And then, so I've had two already. It's not that bad. It's not bad at all to me. You don't feel anything. It's just the preparation that is like, okay, so if you can't really have anything to do for like 2 days. And
exactly.
Then, right? Don't plan a trip. It's not going to happen. And
but so, that could be a good thing. Make that a you thing.
Exactly. Just kind of, wind down. And the same thing with like the, what is it? The breast cancer screening, what is it called? The
mammogram.
Mammogram. So he was like, no, you're doing all of this early. So I had already been on the track of doing all those things like really early. So
okay,
that's my next one. That will be coming in December.
Dr. Tachi, do you still have the same doctor?
Yes. I mean, I haven't gone in like a year. I need to go again, but yeah, I have the same doctor.
Yeah, I'm very much, and LaLa and I were communicating back channel, and she shared that with me. She goes, Dr. I know you're very much on the health thing. So she told me about that. And yeah, I did my first colonoscopy about 2 years ago. And I don't know if you either of you had a different. So I had to take this liquid and drink it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's the most unpleasant thing.
Yeah, exactly. And You know what? It's honestly not that bad. Again, this is not the time for you to be perusing at the mall. You sit your behind down at home and just empty. Okay, that's the thing. But I must have a high tolerance for discomfort because none of that was uncomfortable to me. People are like, oh, mammogram. I'm like, I didn't feel it. What are you feeling?
I'm totally fine. I didn't have any problems. The drinking of the stuff did not bother me either.
No.
I have kind of a high tolerance as well. People fast and do all sorts of things for, try to lose weight. You can do this, 24 hours before. You can do it.
The liquid at first was challenging, but that was no problem. And the thing is, I actually did a consultation with the surgeon ahead of time. And that he said, it's good to see you. And he goes, I'm so happy to see you. I go, you're happy to see a patient? I said, we're not living in America where you get paid by the thing. But he said he was happy because he says he wishes more Black men would get this done. He says he doesn't see enough men of color coming through his office getting it done.
Yes.
And
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And also it is here in Canada, it's Prostate Cancer Awareness Month.
Oh,
very, very important. Okay. Extremely important.
So Dr. Tachi, we're going to share something.
Yeah. I think it's super important to do all of this because let's be honest, if you have people in your life that you are dealing with, whether you're married, you have a partner, you have children, it's selfish not to take care of yourself. So especially when it comes to the partner thing. So you're expecting this person to cart you around in a wheelbarrow because you don't want to get checked out? No.
Right.
By yourself. So you have to think about it. It's not just about you. It's about everyone around. I just look at people who don't, especially like, men who, because they traditionally, as you said, don't like to go to the doctor. So then they end up with something serious. And it's like, so now you're expecting other people around you to take care of you. It's not fair, and it's the same thing for women. You're not doing things for yourself. And now you're expecting everybody to run around for you. It's one thing if it's something that is not preventable, but the things you can prevent, will you please do it? That's all I'm saying. Don't be selfish.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I can say is Will and I, we hold each other accountable that, like we'll be like, hey, when's the last time you had your doctor's appointment? Or we will definitely check in with one another all the time.
Yeah, well, if people know even a little about me, I go every month. And people say, what? Like, are you sick or something? I say, no, while I don't have to pay for it, I'd rather be preventative than on the defensive. And I've had the same doctor for 30 years. And on top of it, it's also my dad's doctor. So he's had a lot of health challenges in his journey. So my doctor is proactive to looking for any signs of any hereditary challenges health-wise that I may have. Actually, I have an appointment with him next Thursday. So there you go.
Wow. So can I say one other thing? I'm sorry.
Please.
No, well, I did because this is a really big thing. Can we also normalize going to the dentist?
Yes.
Yuck mouth is out of style.
Yes.
And yuck mouth can actually also lead to heart disease and other issues because that's all bacteria and your body is one big system. So for some reason, people think, and I understand why, because dental insurance is especially here in the States, dental insurance is a separate thing. Sometimes you're not getting enough coverage. So the big thing here in the US is affordability. And not everyone, people talk, oh, well, make sure you have insurance. Listen, insurance on your own, if you don't have an employer, like you're self-employed, it's expensive. And some people leave it to the last minute because they honestly can't afford it. Luckily for you, you're in Canada where that's not as much of an issue. But here it's a major issue and nobody seems to care. So while we're pointing fingers at individuals, we also need to point the finger at systems that allow for a population to be this ill with no solution.
Oh, yes.
Well said. I'll just say with my experience going for a colonoscopy for the first time, it was no problem until they had to put me to sleep. And they injected the needle here, and I screamed because it hurt.
Oh,
That's where they did mine. It's
mine
very
hurt.
unpleasant, but they can't find my veins.
Oh, I screamed like crazy, and the next thing I knew, I said, "Oh, what's going on?" She says, "Oh, we're done." I go, "We're done?" Like I was right out. Like
really?
Right out. And they said, "Yeah, we're done." I go, "Done what?" Done what? Everything they had to do, but I had passed the test with flying colors. Doctor said don't have to come back for another 5 years. So it's all good.
Wow. Thank God.
Yeah, so it's I'm here for another few shows, family, whether you like it or not. So so we've got a full slate because we haven't been on for 2 weeks. Plus, on the hour, things are happening in the United States of America, but we're gonna stop and then we're gonna take a break, and then we'll do some housekeeping, and then we've got a whole myriad of things and sub things to chat about. And there's already a lot of people, so we got to shout out when we come back. A lot of people from LaLa's fan land coming in today, so we'll be back in 30 seconds. Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Vibe here.
Listen, if you're in debt, the country's in debt, so you're in good company.
The election campaign specifically, very manipulative.
For people that don't have the right tools and equity isn't there, what is the solution?
The fact that the union has to go on strike to tell the government to do what you and I both know is logical.
Yeah, that's up to us, not politicians. There you go. The Morning Vibe with myself and my co-host Ryan O'Neill Knight, Monday and Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And let's get down to some business. Girlfriends Chat with Aisha, LaLa, and Jill Jones. Best go to the Substack address these days. That's where you can go check them out. Primetime Saturday Store. The link is there. Join the Discord group. Email me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com or hit that Discord link, and I'll share that on comment section. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show. Yeah, we're just a little away from 1,910 subscribers. Not in the land of IndieSoup Media, which you'll hear about in a minute. To advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms I'm on, please email me dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And Dr. Tachi has something to talk about called IndieSoup Media. Dr. Tachi?
So IndieSoup Media is an independent network that I'm the founder of for independent content creators. We have on the platform, when I look, there are 30 shows. We have about 24 creators right now, and we're going to get some more in the next season. And I'm really excited because this is the era of independent media. As you know, you cannot trust the mainstream media anymore. So IndieSoup is one of the independent outlets that we hope you will support.
There you go. All right, so let's go to comments because there've been a pile already. So let's do this. Regina Free says it's super important. My sister's boyfriend was 67 and had not had one since 50. Ended up with stage 2 rectal cancer and is now doing chemo. Ouch.
So sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
sorry to hear that. We have him in prayer in regard to that. Regina also says, "Hey, LaLa and the two docs. Good evening. Look who's in the house. Free Will.
Hey,
we have Ray Porter from Facebook. That's got to be a LaLa friend.
LaLa friend. Hey, Katrina.
LaLa friend, good to see you.
Hello.
Chadwick Boseman was diagnosed at 39. If it runs in your family, you need to start young. Exactly. Otherwise, 45 years is the recommended age to begin screening, especially if you are a melanated man. Definitely no later than 45. You need to do that. You need to do that big time. Also, Free Will says STD is now a spiritually transmitted disease. Oh, interesting. We like that. And then Katrina says, I wish we here in the States could have preventable medicine. Oh, on our last episode of Primetime, we went in on that in a lot of ways with your gentleman who's in charge of health. Free Will says, keep that needle away from you. Well, they're going to have to put you to sleep some way, so maybe they'll have other methods, but for me, that's the way they did it. Enlightened Being says, hey, glad to be here. And also, Free Will says, hey, chat. Okay, one other thing before we get started. You know, I'm trying to get Regina to come on one of these, so I'm actually doing this to show Regina. Let me see if this is what I want to show Regina. Yes, I think it is. Yes, okay. If you want to get involved via audio doing our conversation, go to callme.road.com. And I'm putting this on the screen so people see. So when you go to that website, this is what you're gonna see. Now, the code you need to put in is FSPL8L. When you put in that code, exactly as you see it, if you press continue, you got this coming up. So some things you need to do, hit echo cancellation like that, and then put your name in. And I'll put in Dr. Vibe. That's all you got to do. And then you hit join call. And I will see on my end that you are calling in. So I just wanted to show how you can get involved via voice. And that was a PSA for Regina Fries, especially. Okay. Regina goes, I will have a mic hookup next week when I unpack for a second move in a month. Oh my gosh, you've had to move twice in a month? Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Well, may the moving deities be with you.
Yes, Lord. I will sell you a house. I'll sell you a house anywhere in the world, but I hate
Go. I was just gonna say, like, reach out to LaLa twice in a month.
Wow.
That sounds like a nightmare, Regina.
Moving is not fun.
There's a story there. Wow. Twice in a month. And she goes, yes, I am a hot mess. Okay.
No, not at all.
You're okay. You're all right. All right, family. The more I know, the less I understand. Let's start it off. ABC announced it was suspending Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely after comments that Kimmel made about Charlie Kirk's killing led a group of ABC affiliated stations to say it would not air the show. Before the ladies comment, I'm going to show what he said.
Please.
So I think I've pulled it up on the site. I'm going to show what he had to say. So just give me okay, here we go. All right, we've got that. All right, so let me see if I can enlarge the screen and let's play this. Let's see if it plays.
Jimmy Kimmel's late night show has been pulled by ABC after his comments about the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk and the reaction from U.S. President Donald Trump.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom.
This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
Nexstar, which owns dozens of ABC affiliates, says Kimmel's remarks were offensive and insensitive. Kimmel's Monday night monologue also suggested Republicans were desperate to characterize the gunman as, quote, anything other than one of them, sparking backlash on social media and from the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission. ABC says Kimmel's removal is indefinite. He will be replaced by affiliate programming.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else. And he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
These companies can find ways to change conduct and take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. Look, NPR has been defunded. PBS has been defunded. Colbert is retiring. Joy Reid is out at MSNBC. Terry Moran has gone from ABC and now admitting that they are biased. CBS has now made some commitments to us that they're going to return to more fact-based journalism. And so I think you see some lashing out from people like Kimmel, who are frankly talentless.
Jimmy Kimmel stays, Trump must go. Jimmy Kimmel stays, Trump must go.
I was very excited to watch the show, but there was no explanation at all. I also find it really interesting that this happened right before the taping started. It didn't happen this morning. It didn't happen last night. It was like right before the taping started.
The Jimmy Kimmel Show has been pulled indefinitely, abruptly, because of complaints from the Trump administration. So let's see. He didn't end the Ukraine war or solve Gaza within his first week, but he did end freedom of speech within his first year. Hey, for those of you who pray, now's the time to do it.
It's happening. Jimmy Kimmel has been muzzled and taken off the air by his network ABC, who are buckling to and trying to appease the Nexstar media conglomerate, who have a lot of affiliates, and they threaten to preempt him at the suggestion of the SEC chair. This is government censorship. This is the Trump administration coming after people who speak out against him. This is the end of it. If you have any concern or belief in real freedom or the Constitution and free speech, this is it. This is the deciding moment. This is what authoritarianism looks like right now. In this country, it's happening.
Okay. All right, I gotta turn that off somehow. Give me a second. All right. That. All right, we're good. Ladies, what do you say?
This is
do you want
go? I'm sorry.
No. Go
first.
No.
I am so
This
angry.
is
I'm so angry. Just so
go ahead.
angry.
Go ahead, because I'll formulate my statement after you go. Go ahead.
This is nothing but political pressure at play. This is not a test, everyone. The revolution will not be televised because they're going to make sure that they keep it quiet and in their corner. This is bullying at its best. This man has such an ego problem that he cannot stand if anyone thinks differently than him. The fact that they put in all of these lies trying to switch over something that is actually true to make it fit their narrative and then punish people for telling the truth is absolutely ludicrous. And the thing is, at some point, we all have to stop rolling over and pretending like we are puppies just waiting for him to rub our bellies. Because let me tell you something, I don't need his rubs. I need the truth, and I need a working country. I need the truth, and I also need to know that we're not going into World War III, because this is nothing but the playbook, the exact playbook from Hitler. He wants to silence everyone that goes against him. His allies are actually also criticizing him for this because they see the danger in this. Will they roll over? Yes, they will. They will definitely do that. Now, I want to make something very clear. Jimmy Kimmel did not say anything that was wrong. The joke was asking Trump, how are you holding up? This is supposed to be a son to you. And the fact that Trump wouldn't even answer that question whatsoever shows you the type of rhetoric that he wants to continue to put out. Now, what's really chilling about this is that the networks are increasingly being cautious about this. And the executives actually did come out and say, we don't see anything that Jimmy said that was bad. So we actually were just really afraid of the retaliation. Let it sink in. We were and are afraid of the retaliation that the Trump administration is going to unleash upon us. That's where the danger lies. Not that one host was being suspended. This is the second one. The first one they pushed out. And it's not that he's not talented. Baby, I've been to the show. The show is very great. And listen, his comedy is not for everybody. I don't even like a whole lot of comedy, but he's always been a gentleman in everything that he's done. But this precedent, it sets self-censorship to avoid political punishment. We have freedom of speech. The First Amendment protects the government from the government and keeps them from keeping us silent. But the reality of this is more complicated. When regulators hint at consequences and corporations fold under this pressure and freedom of speech is taken away, it erodes everything that America is supposed to stand for. We should not, I don't care who it is, ever bow to power. So this moment really does highlight a bigger fear. Media outlets are choosing survival over truth. So if a comedian can be suspended for commentary, newsrooms are going to hesitate to report facts that anger those in power. This is a very dangerous move. This is not a test. This is not a test. This is how they are setting the precedent of how things will be reported to us. And it's also tied into something else, but we're going to talk about that after this. I know I've talked a lot, but I've thought about this a lot. It has angered me. And I'm not saying what sparked it, because that, I'm not even going to get into that topic. It could have been that they just said a joke about how much he's golfed every single day, that he could turn around. He's using what happened to project his anger and authority over everyone. They're trying to make someone a martyr, and they're using this to take away every freedom that we have.
Dr. Tachi, I know there's many sides of this, especially your media hat that you're wearing wants to talk about this. So go ahead.
First of all, I'm still waiting for what Jimmy Kimmel said about the actual deceased. He was talking about the individual who perpetrated the act. So I'm apology for what? Because what the story is now is in order. They're in talks now, looking at and assessing whether or not he will be back on the air. Part of the deal is they want him to apologize for this and apologize to the family and make a donation to that wretched what's the name of that organization? The Do Nothing Coalition, whatever it's called. But they want him to do that. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll see if that's happening. That's not about to happen. So you want him to spend his money on that to further your agenda? Yeah, that's not happening. So we're waiting on word for that. I don't see what he said about the CK, that, in fact, the comments did not refer to him at all. It referred to the person who perpetrated the act. So I'm guessing that these individuals don't have ears, don't have good reading comprehension skills, and I would demand my money back from whatever institution you went to, because they failed you miserably. You have no comprehension skills if you didn't hear that. But we already know all of this is, number one, distraction from other things, and number two, excuse. What was said, what he did say was, this is the way, when talking about how he was doing and the ballroom, Jimmy Kimmel did say, what? This is the way a toddler, that's what the problem is. That he said something about him that he did not like. He called him a toddler and he's upset. So here is an opportune time to bring in something else to get at him and dig it. In fact, he's been upset with Jimmy Kimmel for a long time. This is not new. He can't stand Jimmy Kimmel because and comedians in general, because they speak truth to power. They speak truth to power, and that's what they don't like, because the more they talk, the more the other side has to cover their tracks and come up with more lies. And you know how hard it is to keep track of lies? They are scrambling now because now they have to, oh gosh, what are we going to do now? So their faces are red. The veins are bulging. So first thing I want to say is none of this had anything to do with the actual incident, the person who was affected by the incident, the deceased at all. This was referring to the person who perpetrated the act, and everybody doesn't know how to listen and they failed kindergarten, basically. Okay, that's number one. Number two, this has so many implications. It's not just for free speech, but you heard how I said you really can't trust mainstream media anymore. This is why. Mainstream media, and I've been saying this for years, maybe now people will listen. Mainstream media has too many hands and too much of their money tied up in politics. These political politics. Yes. Too much of their money and too much of their energy is spent on this. So I keep telling people what you have to do is follow the breadcrumbs, right? When we see all of these things, you need to ask, well, who owns them? Okay, Disney's upset because Disney owns ABC, right? But there's a bigger story at play here. So let me talk about that a little bit. Nexstar, you heard them talk about Nexstar, right? So basically, Jimmy Kimmel is like the sacrificial lamb in all of this for a multi-billion-dollar TV deal. Okay, so Nexstar Media is actually one of the most powerful station groups. So what happens in television, for those of you who don't know, you've got these affiliates, right? And they're owned by different station groups. So Nexstar is one of the station groups that owns a lot. In fact, 80%, they have 50 or 51 markets. They have 80%. That's a high number. 80%. So we're talking
unheard
about
of.
It's unheard of, and it's illegal. You're not supposed to. Okay, you see where I'm going here? All of this is distraction and also making something bigger than it's not. So we do get distracted and don't pay attention to all these other things that are happening around, not just the Epstein files, but all of these other things that, dirty media are involved in. So let me see if I can find this so I can tell you. All right. So this is what they said in announcing it. Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse, and we do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located. Local communities in which we are located, local station groups, follow me here. But this decision is coming, notably, just weeks after Nexstar announced a $6.2 billion acquisition of rival Tegna, another station group, which would give it an additional 64 news stations in 51 markets with 200 owned and partner stations it already has. So it has 200. It would give them an additional 64 and bring the company's market coverage of the U.S. to about 80%, as I said, right? Right now, the FCC has a rules cap that no one company can own more than 39%. So do you see where this is problematic and why they are trying to do things like this? They want that deal to go through. Nexstar wants to acquire Tegna and have those stations, right? Some of them are ABC affiliates, okay? If I can make noise, enough noise, they're not going to notice that we're not supposed to have 80%. We're only supposed to be at 39%. So Jimmy Kimmel, it's bigger than Jimmy Kimmel. He didn't say anything that, number one, wasn't true, and number two, was offensive to anybody but the toddler, right?
Right.
So all of this is a smoke screen to cover that. Does this make sense?
What's ever changed, Dr. Tachi? Everything that has happened has been a smokescreen for what they're doing behind the scenes. Everything.
Absolutely. It is all a smokescreen. It really is a smokescreen because, I mean, this is just wonderful for them because now we're paying attention to these things. In fact, not to talk about this, but in what world was a podcaster a martyr?
Thank you.
So when you look at those things, it just doesn't make any good sense, because this is not anything that has happened before, right? What we've never seen somebody that it was a pod on either side talking about anything be made in the image of Martin Luther King Jr. We've never seen that.
Yeah.
So that should tell you, well, why are they making such a huge deal of this? Flags at half staff?
Yeah.
Something's not right. And because you have a populace that doesn't think, and they're taking this story, I'm like, but did you ask yourself why this is such a big deal? Of course, somebody, passed, somebody was unalive. That makes it a big deal. But because they're trying to spin a narrative that it's not, but because you don't think, and this individual loves the poorly educated, you'll take whatever story they give you and run with it. Can you think for what? Just sit down, turn off the TV, and think on your own for once and say, well, why is this such a big story? So now when I gave you this piece of information that they're trying to make a smokescreen so this deal can go through when it's not supposed to happen, and Brendan Carr, that fool, that uneducated fool, he's going to let it go through probably. Because it's not just Jimmy Kimmel. Brendan Carr went after it, also The View. So let me tell, I have a lot to say about this. The View, if you don't know, what they're trying to do is really look and see if The View is actually a news program. And if it is a news program, which we know good and damn well it's not. But if it is a news program, then they are also subject to some of the rules that news programs are, which means equal time. So you then have to let opposing views on, especially during election time, etc., because there is an equal time rule. So what they're trying to have that happen is to rule them a news program, a bona fide news program, so that can go through. These are just some of the things that are happening, right? And of course, we know all the many people that have been forced off the air, right? Taken off the air, forced off the air, whether they left on their own or whatever, they were forced off the air. So let me tell you this final piece of and I never thought in my life I would be like, for real? I'm like, for real? So Ted Cruz is saying that the FCC and Brendan Carr, by default, they're acted like, quote, mafioso on Jimmy Kimmel. I said, what? For real?
I saw and heard that. I heard that. I saw that.
Yes. You can take a look at the article. It's in BBC, the BBC News, and he said, quote, from BBC, he said Federal Communications Commission Chairman Brendan Carr's threat to ABC over their comedian's monologue about slain conservative influencer Charlie Kirk was quote, dangerous as hell. That's right out of Goodfellas, he said.
Yeah, he did say that. He did. I heard the audio clip. I did hear the audio clip. Yep. That is true. I heard that. Listen to it this afternoon. I heard it.
This is how you know when you have the worst of the worst saying, okay, something's not right here. And Ted Cruz is the worst of the worst. You know there are shenanigans at play. We know this. So you cannot afford to just keep your head in the sand. I'm not saying you necessarily have to do anything, because I'm not advocating, because this is another interesting thing with Jimmy Kimmel. And again, like you said, LaLa, there's comedy is a very specific thing, right? Comedy has always spoken truth to power, made public commentary, etc. But the big reason that this is a big issue now is because it has now hit non-melanated men. It's a problem. And I'm not saying that he deserved to be. That's not what I'm saying at all. Because you know how some people don't think and they like to twist things into what they're not. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is the same energy was not there for Joy Reid.
No.
The same energy was not there for people of color who are forced off of the airways and forced out of other places like academia, etc., for these types of things because the administrations are cowards. The same thing is not there. So now, maybe now something will be done because it's hitting home. So Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, the podcaster, I can't remember his name. Now it is hitting quote unquote liberal, non-melanated men. So now it's a problem.
But we
I
knew
didn't see anybody
we
protesting.
knew that and everything. This is why our women, we part of the 92%. Like, listen, I'm still part of the 92%. We saw this coming.
Absolutely.
Well, as you can see, I'm glad you ladies have given me grace, if I can, to take a break for it, because the comments are fire right now.
Yeah.
So we got to do some catching up. So so here we go. Regina goes, I think ABC is ballless. They should have said, quote, okay, we will switch to streaming. Bye. Kimmel will switch to cable like Bill Maher and be out of reach. Notice Kimmel still hosting Who Wants to, I don't know which, To Be a Millionaire. Kimmel has 21 million YouTube followers. Late night audiences dropped during COVID because people switched to streaming. Marlon Wayans said it best, quote, he's an artist and will find a new lane.
Absolutely.
Free Will says, 47 makes me ill. The fellas at work keep Fox News playing every time. I come back in the break room, I mute it if I don't change to another channel. Free Will goes, Trump is and I'm not going to repeat, but there's an emoji. I'll say, Free Will says Trump is a monkey. Free Will says 47 will not trump free speech. Okay, I usually don't say his name, so I've said it twice, too many times already. Regina says, stupid MAGA keeps saying the employees have a right to fire Kimmel, ignoring how the shutdown came about. So sick of idiots backing 47. Free Will says, I'm as FBA as they get, born in USFA, Colorado. Free Will says, I hear LaLa loud and clear. The organization we're thinking of, Dr. Tachi, Turning Point.
That's it. But who cares?
Free Will, I watch MSNBC also. Lawrence spoke on this topic also. Katrina said also Turning Point USA is the organization. Katrina also says this goes back to 47's first term. Free Will says 47 needs to go to jail, Monopoly board, and do not pass go. Katrina says, amen. Regina says, Bernice King had a few things to say about the comparison to her dad. Regina says, The View is a talk show, such BS. Free Will says, I won't even say his name. Come to the American Hoods. Ends get shot every day. Regina says, there are some older MAGA who agree with Cruz. C-Nurse K says, hey, C-Nurse K. Yes, Ted Cancun Cruz said that because he knows if Republicans can do it now, he is afraid of the, quote, repercussions, unquote, if Dems get back into power. Free Will says, I heard 47 called Cruz's wife a tramp, and Cruz still licking his boots in Texas. Stupid. Oh, boy. What's the best way to push back from a media lens? I was watching a gentleman named Scott Galloway. Some people may or may not know who he is. And he said, what needs to happen now is what everyone has to do is anyone who does not agree with any of the companies that support 47, they need to boycott them for a month.
Well, we see that the boycotts are working. Where the stations, Disney's site and Hulu's sites are crashing because people are literally running to cancel their subscriptions. And within 24 hours, Hulu came out immediately and was offering 6 months for $2.99. Their streaming platforms are already struggling. And so with this is where we hit them again with our power. Don't tell me that boycotts don't work, because Target is down 42% consistently because we have stopped shopping with them. This is some of the least of the things that we can do. But, you know, you're asking what can we do? We need to be more vocal. This is a part of being vocal and also doing it in unity. There is power in numbers. I will continue, and this is my new motto, is we the people, is we the people. There's more of us than there are them. And when we realize that, and the power lies in we the people, that's when things are going to shift. But as long as people just sit back and complain and do nothing, nothing is going to change. But each day they do something where it actually hits someone new in the heart. People who thought they would not be affected by this are now being affected by everything that this administration is doing. And we the people grow stronger every single day.
So,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Well, to answer what can we do from a media perspective and a media lens, to LaLa's point, absolutely. Know where you're spending your money. And the interesting thing with this is, unlike a Target where, and Target is not, it's an example of an excellent boycott that has worked, but some people may not have any other place to go other than, for example, a Target or Walmart. So, and it still worked in that case. It can work even better in this case because these are Disney, Hulu, all of the Disney Plus, these are wants, not needs. So there is so much content that exists in so many other places. If we're talking about children's programming, etc., Coco Melon, all these things that you can pick up on other places that nobody ever has to do things with Disney. Again, there are reports also of people who have, you know, even season passes. If you live in California or Florida, you can get these season passes so you can go back as many times. People are like, whatever, we'll just lose the money. They're not going to Disney parks, etc. So what people have to realize is the reason anybody is in business is because of people. If you annoy people and make them annoyed and angry, they're not going to spend money with you. It's very simple economics. So I don't get it. So, and the other thing I don't get is these individuals, well, I do get the threats because with ABC and Disney, the threat was Brendan Carr was threatening to pull their license, their FCC license.
And I don't think
that's what the threat is.
There's even litigation with that if they can actually do that.
You can't.
Yeah,
you
that's
can't.
what I
There's
heard.
litigation. You can't do that. Especially somebody, this man has no education in communication. He is nothing when it comes to, he doesn't know what he's doing. Everybody is flying by the seat of their pants.
Chatting about a little bit later.
Absolutely. They're just complete nonsense. He's complete nonsense, and including the FBI director and all these people have no education in what they are actually doing. They're just there. And so he can't do that. But another thing that we can do besides just don't, if you have, this is probably a good time to assess what you have, what you're paying for, and where it's going. Trace where this stuff is going. And if it's going to line the pockets of people who are tearing down democracy, cancel it. Because I guarantee you, a lot of the things that we pay for are wants and not needs. Now, if we're talking about electricity, water, and that can't be helped, right? Unless you live off of the grid. But trace that. That's one thing that we can do. Stop giving money to these factions that are tearing down democracy. Stop doing it because you are indirectly guilty. And it's especially in the US because we're like, we feel some of these things that are wants, our needs. Secondly, let's look at independent content creators. I'm going to keep saying that. The reason this system works is because we have put mainstream media / legacy media on a pedestal as the thing to aspire to when you start your content creation journey or when you're doing. So think about it, back in the old days, before there was any social media or any way to make content and have it seen, before there was an independent distribution system, everybody was begging Hollywood for 2 seconds of time to pitch. And most of you were not going to make it. You could get mad at me if you like, but it's true. most of you that pitch, you're not going to make it because you don't know people. Hollywood works with who they know, and they don't even have to like you, but they work with who they know. If they don't know you, they're not going to work with you. Unless you have something that is so invaluable to them, like a huge social media following that you can bring over to a product on their platform. And that's the thing. And most people, I've seen this over and over at pitch competitions, at pitch summits, etc. They don't foster their social media. So they're not bringing an audience anywhere. They have an idea and that's it. The idea is not going to get it, my dear. They want your audience, right? Because that means that's less work that they have to do, and that's dollar signs for them. So I'm saying this to say we also have to change our mindset. We need to go through a paradigm shift. Legacy media, mainstream media, that is not it anymore. All we have to do is look at Gen Z, Gen Alpha. A lot of us, we're not watching legacy television, legacy programming the way we once did. We're not in the theaters the way we were. Why? Because I can sit there and watch a 52-part series from Risa Tisa on who the heck did she marry? And we're in the comments talking to each other because these people, content creators, form community. Yes, Hollywood cares about dollars. They don't care about community. And I'm not saying this to be anti-Hollywood. No, I know a lot of people who work in Hollywood spaces and they do wonderful work. But you have to get real with what is what. That is not the paradigm anymore because that's already such a small contingency of who gets in. This is the future. The YouTubes are the future. The having your own platform is the future. So that's what I'm saying to all these other people. The other thing is we've gotten used to making so much money off of that it's difficult for people to go backwards. The reality is in streaming, on social media, you may not make as much money as the job that you get as an actor in Hollywood. But that's why the days of I'm just an actor are done. You need to have several streams of income. Start something. You need a business. Have real estate. Call LaLa. She'll help you. Okay, you need to have all of that because one stream of income from your acting, from your directing, from your writing is not going to cut it anymore. And there are more enough of you doing that anyway. So become independent and do what you love, but also have these other streams of income. That is the future of media. And stop hiding your head in the sand and acting like it's not. I digress.
No, you don't, because this is the thing. And we are proving this point as we're speaking about this. This is more and much deeply more rooted into corrupt and other smoke screenings. This is more than just what people are wanting to be angry about, because the surface smoke is what they see. What they don't know is all the roots that are going down into the soil that are also a part of this. But the point is just that, to continue to keep people in anger and bickering with one another about what they think is most important, when the real work, the real evil work, the real hoodoo, the real all of that is actually going on behind the scenes. So you have to understand that this is much deeper than what we are actually talking about. We could probably continue to talk about this for another year because we are not going to exactly know how bad and corrupt this was to many more years down the road. Now, I posted a quote today because I really thought about a lot of the things that are going on because I am taking back my time. I can't make a change in the world if I don't make a change and focus on the things that are important to me. And the quote is, normalize not having an opinion on things you are not properly informed on. Because right now, what everybody is doing is just jumping with their emotions, jumping. No, I'm right. You're right. No, I'm right. You're right. How dare you? You're against this. You're against that. Sky's blue. Sky's pink. But you're not really seeing the true picture. So if you don't really understand what is really going on, then make it a priority to hold your tongue until you understand the full picture.
Here, here.
All right. For some reason, there's a few comments. Let me share them.
Really? What would anybody have to say about this?
Oh, okay, so let's do this here. Katrina says, this is why you must protect all from the orange man. Child, no one is free until everyone is free. Regina says, unsubscribe and boycott advertisers. She also says, the power lies in the hands of consumers. Money talks. Free Will says, LaLa is absolutely correct. Free Will says, people and money, Dr. Tachi. Katrina says, Target made me mad a long time ago, and I won't shop there anymore. Free Will says, I was understood, Dr. Tachi. Katrina says, no one in the 47 administration does not know what they are doing. Free Will says, I'll say it, social media focuses on people grieves. You know what? And I heard a term the other day, social media has just a growing number of conflict entrepreneurs. I thought it was a very good term. Regina says the chat room for, quote, insecure, unquote, was fantastic. I reconnected with a boyfriend from the 1970s. LOL, dating myself. Free Will says, look, I was a FedEx panel van driver in the Silicon Valley. I know what I'm talking about. There you go.
Absolutely.
Gina says, well, that is what social media has taught people. You should not react to and act on something based on just emotions. Very good. I'm going to put up, and it isn't part of our topics, but I'm actually going to put something else up that people need to, maybe you've not heard about this story that came out today, but this is part again about speech, etc., etc. Let me put this one up, and I don't know if Dr. Tachi and LaLa is aware of this story, so let me just, and I'll just read it, and then I'll ask both of you, what is the state of free speech in America? Defense Secretary Hegseth requires new, quote, pledge, unquote, for reporters at the Pentagon. I'll just read quickly a little bit of this story. The Pentagon will drastically change its rules for journalists who cover the Department of Defense. 2 U.S. officials who are not authorized to speak publicly confirmed to NPR this past Friday. The move drew sharp criticism from news organizations who said it violated the bedrock of a free press. Going forward, journalists must sign a pledge not to gather any information, including unclassified reports that hasn't been authorized for release. Using the rebranded, quote, Department of War, unquote, acronym DOW, the 17-page document obtained by NPR outlining the new rule for the media says those who fail to obey the new policy will lose their press credentials, cutting off access to the headquarters of the largest department in the U.S. government. According to the document, journalists who report on the news outside of explicit commands of the Pentagon could be deemed, quote, a security or safety risk, unquote, and have their credentials stripped. Which leads me to ask both of you ladies, are you living in an autocracy?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't even think I
LaLa?
need to answer that question. You know we are.
Yes.
I mean, this, listen, all you need to do is pull out the whole playbook of Hitler. Her father, they had all of this put down. And this ain't nothing but a roadmap. I saw it coming. If you do not bow down to these people, they will punish you.
Well, I think, you know what we need to do? You know what we need to do, LaLa? And I think it'd be we need to, if there's a way we could replay you and Aisha breaking down Project 2025, that broadcast live, and go through it point by point by point live.
They have hit the 50% mark.
But just point by point live. We need to do that because there's so many things that Aisha and LaLa said, listen, family, and no one thought it true, and look what's going down.
We got bashed for that, as you recall. We got bashed for that.
Yes.
People said we didn't know what we were talking about, that we were spreading hate and spreading conspiracy, and we couldn't break it down any further and any more truthful for people. But yet people did not have the ears to hear. Now we don't look so stupid, do we?
Okay. Katrina says she read about Hegseth yesterday. Regina says the reporter should just keep asking about Epstein. Joseph says the heck said BS will be taken to court and hurled out. Freedom of the press, Heggy Poo. Well, who knows with this current Supreme Court?
See, this is the thing. All the things that we knew that used to be the letter of the law don't exist anymore. So we keep saying you can't do that. That's illegal. Everything they're doing is illegal. Every single thing they're doing is illegal, and they still do it. And there's very little pushback because they have stacked the courts. And he did this in his first administration, stacked the court people who were going to be favorable toward him.
Well,
yes, despicable.
It sounds like this administration, 47, saying, I'm going to do it whether it's legal or not, and then take the court has to go through the courts for it to be rescinded, and that takes time.
Right. And that's more time wasted and more of a distraction. So as we're distracted and the courts are already bogged down with cases and things. Why do you think it takes so long for cases to come to trial or to get a hearing? Not because they're going golfing, because the courts are overloaded, both on a local level, a regional level, a federal level. So it takes a long time for that. So meanwhile, while I've tied up the courts with yet another thing, let me continue implementing Project 2025. Let me continue implementing and running things the way I like. Again, so there are all sorts of distractions that are there, not just the things they're doing so that they become news, but also tying up the courts with frivolous things that we know are illegal so that they can continue their reign of terror.
2 years, 8 months. I'm still waiting for justice for my sisters while their killers are still walking free.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right. Free Will said he'd like to see that rebroadcast in the live commentary, so we'll certainly pull that up. I think before the end of the year, or maybe as a year end, maybe we do that just to see how much of it has been put in place. Free Will also says 47 is a rude awakening, Dr. Tachi. His sister was a corporation judge. He has learned a lot from her. You know what? There's also a gentleman who's I just read he's a judge and he isn't wanting to go ahead with a case against Letitia James, and I think 47 is going to fire him.
Yes, yes.
I
yes.
didn't read the full story, but go, whoa.
He is using. Sorry, go ahead.
What do you feel are the next steps in this saga? Because all the major media have capitulated. TikTok. It sounds like TikTok. Oh, well, we should talk about TikTok. Looks like it's gone over
Oracle.
U.S. hands. But who is TikTok being? Who's on one of the board members? Or 6 out of 7 U.S. board members now for TikTok USA. Who is on that board? There's a very interesting name that's on that board that's also part of Oracle.
I don't know his name. I just know it's corrupt.
Larry Ellison.
Yes.
Larry Ellison, and we'll go to our next topic. But it is rumored that Mr. Ellison, whose son now is part of Skydance, which now bought Paramount Global, now they're putting an offer in to buy Warner Brothers.
Yes,
which would then mean they will control CNN.
Exactly.
Surprise.
But all of this, okay, we have to look at the legality of this. That would be a corporation, a media corporation of proportions that we have not seen.
47 is going to allow it.
No, I know. We're supposed to have protections against that type of thing because of competition, etc. Right? But we don't. And so this is how we know we're sinking farther and farther into dictatorship, because a capitalist society or free market society allows for competition. If you have one company, and to be honest, 5 companies have for a long time only had owned all of the media, right?
Yeah.
It's been like that. It's just who it changes hands, they merge, they break apart. But so if that goes to, and they'll allow that to go through, but there are going to be conditions, right? There are going to be some sturdy conditions for that to go through. And what's going to happen is Warner Brothers, Paramount, they're going to say, okay, they're going to kiss the ring. so they could get, because they're so greedy. All they see is the dollar signs. They're so greedy that they'll do anything to allow those types of things to go through. You don't need Warner Brothers for what? I know why.
All right. Well, state-controlled media. You're
Yes.
now living in
What I
state-controlled
tell
media.
you.
Yes. State controlled.
Free Will
sponsored
says
media.
47 is just reckless, though he doesn't know blank. Well, we'll see. All right. Let's go to our next conversation piece. Judge tosses 47's $15 defamation suit against New York Times, Penguin, and Random House. And I actually find it interesting because 47 was in England this week, and he was at a dinner, and at the same dinner was Rupert Murdoch, who owned.
Surprise, surprise.
LaLa, I'm sorry. LaLa.
No, because this is sometimes I think what they like to do is fabricate so that people can say, "Oh, see, they fighting." No, baby. No, baby. Mm-mm. People come from money. People come from corruption. They protect one another. They may pretend like they fighting, but I'm still going to here to tell you they still partying behind closed doors. So the powerful always protect the powerful, regardless whoever was there. You know darn well that they were still clinking champagne glasses while the people of England were putting out flyers out there and big old posters about asking about Epstein. So this does not surprise me that they were in the same room. The defamation suit was for 15 billion, not I said B. And it was against the New York Times and several of the reporters. But also, this is what was really interesting to me, not just that, but Penguin Random House, right? So he's actually also going after authors who have anything to say against him. Now, he claimed that they defamed him in articles, and the book that he was referencing was called Lucky Loser. By misrepresenting him and his business and his history and his background. But that's all fact, y'all. He did run all these businesses into the ground. He's filed bankruptcy over and over again, and he still comes out on top. But the judge said he wasn't going to have any of that. He said that it failed, the lawsuit failed to give a concise and a straightforward claim. And he pretty much just said this was a joke and that it was tedious and burdensome with a lot of irrelevant info. But everything that he does always has a lot of irrelevant stuff and a lot of fluff. If you really take the time, and this is what I urge people to do, is you hear all the news. Oh, such and such is suing somebody. Such and such did this. Such and such did that. HUD did this. Blah, blah, blah. In my industry, for what I know, which is real estate, I make sure that I go back and report on what happens after the fact, because a lot of that stuff does get dismissed. And then people don't hear the back part of it. They just hear the sensationalization of the front. But he definitely took a big L in this because the judge saw right through it. Now, there are many judges who are seeing right through it, but he has the power of the Supreme Court as well. So what they're doing is wasting time, wasting money, wasting energy, only to, if it takes it to that higher court, for him to win. I used to believe, and I used to really, truly long for seeing justice being done against this man. I do not have any faith in that whatsoever, because whatever he has done, whatever he is holding over people, he continues to come out on top. So let's not forget, though, a lot of these L's that are happening are just as important as them putting out fake things that don't matter, that have no substance to it. Once again, you are being attacked for saying anything against him, and that is the main problem. It's not all the fluff that's behind it. What is it, toddler? Would they call him a toddler? Yeah, because he is. Because he cannot handle anyone saying anything bad about him. And so what he's going to do is he's going to take the power that he has to punish you on it. I'm very happy and I side with this judge on this.
I wonder who's paying for all these lawsuits.
We are
trying to get the American people to. So there you go.
We're paying for it. And I'm vehemently against it.
Reminds me when he made those, he had all those law firms succumb to him, and he's getting all his legal now on their behalf.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
No, absolutely. But do you think they're not going to put this on their taxes, their quarterly taxes, etc., and write all of this off? So we end up paying for it anyway.
Protected them from. You see how this all works together? Yeah. The rich get richer. They protect one another.
Go ahead, Dr. Tachi.
Yeah, so I want to add to this whole thing of so the whole lawsuit is because he was claiming that he was victimized, or it was claiming that it was victimized by the paper during the 2024 election, and he was accusing them of trying to ruin his reputation. I'm sorry, the fact that you were bankrupt at least 6 times didn't ruin it. The fact that you had a scam university that scammed people out of tuition money wasn't enough. The fact that you had all of these businesses that did not deliver on promises, that you had people that work for you that have said that they gone on record that they were not paid, that didn't ruin your reputation. It was this that ruined your reputation. So we already know he has an external locus of control. Nothing that is done, that he does, is his fault. It's always some outside force that is causing this. Not him or his personality or his actions. It's an outside force, right? So I'm like, wow. So everything that you've done before didn't ruin the reputation. This one thing did. Their coverage. My friend. Yeah. The fact that you were up in Studio 54 acting a fool, that was enough to do that. So this goes back. The fact that you really didn't do what you were supposed to do at when he was at the Wharton Business School, you spent your time not doing what you were supposed to do, just hanging out on weekends in New York City. That's right. You built your reputation from the ground up, friend. It has nothing to do with the New York Times. And so I wanted to really quickly say what was said about this. So, quote, a complaint is not a megaphone for public relations or a podium for a passionate oration at a political rally or the functional equivalent of the Hyde Park Speaker's Corner, right? The judge said that this case is improper and impermissible, adding that, quote, every lawyer should know that a lawsuit is not a public forum for vituperation and invective or rage against an adversary. So this is what was said with regard to that case. I just wanted to add that.
Well, the whole dismissal isn't really and truly about the claim, if the claims are true or false. It's about how the lawsuit was even presented. And as you just said, sloppy, just like everything else he does. And that's why a lot of the times they throw together these things and it's never put together properly and they're thrown out.
Okay, more comments as always here. Regina says, Mary Day was not playing when he tossed that case. The judge. Free Will says, it's my opinion. My views have nothing to do with the panel. No problem. Katrina says, money protects money. Regina has a quote here. A complaint is not a megaphone for public relations or a podium for a passionate oration at a political rally or the functional equivalent of the Hyde Park Speaker's Corner. Regina also says, which means 47 is basically shouting from a stump. Free Will puts laugh emojis there. Also says good stuff, Regina. Also says giving you respect, Regina. Katrina says they will report it as a business expense on their taxes. Yep.
Absolutely.
100%. All right.
We're paying for it.
No problem. Let's move to our next conversation piece. Him again. 47 imposes a $100,000 fee on H-1B visas in new immigration action.
I can't. well on this because I didn't get a chance. Y'all see how much stuff come out that we can't catch? Like this was new to me. I just know that it's a dumb move. I do understand visas and I do understand technology and I do understand what ramifications this is going to take on America, especially small businesses who depend on people to come over and help their businesses. So I already know this was dumb before I even dig into the story.
Okay, I'll just read before Dr. Tachi goes in. That's just from President 47 signed executive action on Friday to impose a $100,000 application fee for H-1B visas in an effort to curb what his administration says is overuse of the program. Quote, "We need great workers, and this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen," unquote. 47 said from the Oval Office, where officials detailed how the measure would incentivize companies to employ American workers while still providing a pathway to hire highly skilled foreign workers in specialized fields. The proclamation will restrict entry under the program unless accompanied by payment. In a separate order, 47 also directed the creation of a, quote, gold card immigration pathway that he said would fast-track visas for certain immigrants in exchange for a hefty fee. The policy will expedite visas for foreigners who pay US $1 million while allowing a company to pay $2 million to speed up the process for a foreign worker that it sponsors. The moves mark the latest in a series of efforts from the administration to crack down on immigration and place sharp new limits on the types of foreigners allowed into the country. They threaten to significantly impact the industries that depend on H-1B visas. The H-1B visa is a work visa that's valid for 3 years and can be renewed for another 3 years. Economists have argued the program allows U.S. companies to maintain competitiveness and grow their business, creating more jobs in the U.S. Anything to share on that, Dr. Tachi?
Oh, yes.
Okay, because you are in education.
Yeah. Yes. I'm also a child of immigrants. And let's just say this entire country runs because of immigrants. I want to hear people that talk about, well, I don't care. Anybody who was not indigenously here, you're an immigrant, right? You may have been here for a while, but your history is immigration, whether it was forced immigration or immigration by choice. And so you look at these different industries that are being hurt. These are the industries that are right now, okay, Apple, right? They hit $1 trillion. It goes back and forth. Apple is immigrants.
Yep.
Okay. Any major, if you're looking at, Free Will talked about Silicon Valley. If you're looking at anybody in Silicon Valley, anybody in the tech field, this is immigrant territory. India, for years, has fostered their IT sectors, has fostered their tech sectors. China, the same thing. Japan, the same thing. And here's the thing, and we have to call it what it is. American work ethic on the whole is rubbish, because that is not something that is culturally ingrained. Maybe at one time, but what do you expect from a country that built itself up on the forced labor of other people? That they're going to have a good work ethic? No, it starts from the beginning. So American the work ethic here is not that great on the whole. Individually, yes, you can see that, but on the whole, no, we're not known for being good workers. We avoid it when we can, right? And so you already have terrible work ethic, but enter in immigrants who from birth are taught about honor. The honorable thing to do is to do your job well. Nigerians, I'm Nigerian. The only thing you're supposed to be is doctor, lawyer, engineer. Anything else is a disgrace to the family. How dare you come home with A-? Why? Why is the minus there? That is the way it works in these houses. And again, individually, we see it in individual households, but on the whole, that is not the thing. So of course, you are going to get people that develop certain skills because nothing less than excellence is accepted. In the US, we accept a lot of mediocrity. So they're coming here with skills, wanting to be a part of things because they also come from collectivist countries where the good of the group supersedes the good of the individual.
Yes.
US is an individualistic country. They only care, each person cares about themselves, maybe their nuclear family, and that's it. So you're getting people who are good for a company because they care about the good of the group. They care about the success of the group. And now you want to stop the very thing that has made companies in the US flourish. And that does not mean, again, that no Americans have been part of that narrative. I'm not saying that at all, but it is not something that is ingrained in American culture from the beginning. Excellence is not something that is pushed. Mediocrity, because get by, just try and get by. And it's coming back to bite us. That's what I wanted to say. So, I mean, let me say this. That's what you get. Whatever happens, that's what you get. And the stupid thing about the $100,000 of the, who's going to pay that? Because now what you're doing, very good. Congratulations. What you're doing now, indirectly and directly, is forcing innovation in other places that have a better quality of life, a lower cost of living, because there's opportunity there. You've shut down any opportunity here. Congratulations. Good for you. Gold star or gold card.
Well, I can tell you many of the European countries are going, oh, you can't do that over there. Come on over here. We got a program for you. They've already started lining it up.
Exactly. And these Southeast Asian countries are doing that as well. Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. No problem. Regina says, can't wait to see what Elon Musk thinks about this $100,000 fee. He'll probably get exempt.
No. He's already lined up to pay it.
Oh, okay.
I do know that.
Okay.
He has it. $100,000 is nothing for him.
Yeah, no. Regina says U.S. companies could work with some of these employees remotely, but not all. IBM, near me back in the day, had tons of H-1B visa employees. Katrina says, and those countries put the whole before the individual.
Yes.
Regina says, Yvonne Orji had some hilarious takes on her Nigerian family's expectations of their children, and she became an actress comedian. All right. Okay.
We're from the same ethnic group.
To take some of those students too. All right, let's move into our next conversation topic. The recent shootings in Denver.
This all happened on the same day of another big thing that happened. I just refuse to talk about it, guys. I'm sorry, I just won't do that. But this actually happened at pretty much the same time. And this story was buried. What has happened is the Evergreen High School, there was a student that came there that decided that he was going to pew the school. It is still unclear if he had direct targets that he wanted to go after, but he ended up unaliving himself as well. Once they start digging into his history, what was found out is that he was also a Columbine freak. He had so much history on that, and that he saw that as a point of glory. But what they always want to continue to push the narrative on is it's always these young white kids that lean to the right. It was also found out very quickly that he followed many of the white supremacist groups. He had plenty of time to plan. He took the playbook directly from Columbine, and that he was ready to go out in a blaze of glory. America has a problem with these young white men, young white people that want to take out other people because they feel that they're going to be martyrs for what they do, because he very much saw himself as being a hero for doing what he's done. I do believe that the two that were shot, one of them is still fighting for their life. I'm not sure about the other, but this hits home for me because I lived in Denver for so long. I've been to the school. I know exactly where it is. I've helped many teachers that teach at that school. But I want you to notice something. This is what I want to call your attention to. You noticed that this was not reported on. If it was not reported on by smaller creators and content newspapers, you would have never heard about it. Because now people have become so normalized to this. This is almost a weekly occurrence in America. And other things to make you angry were put in the news immediately. That this could have slipped by if we didn't have brave people who were reporting on things that are not being pushed by the regular media conglomerates who have been bought out. This is not the end of it. I wish and pray that it was, but we are consistently seeing that it is those who have these beliefs, and they keep trying to push the narrative that it is the left, that it is the Democrats, that they're the ones that are pushing these narratives. But time and time again, that has been proven as a myth. These young kids, they don't give a damn. What they want to go after, they will go after. And they have proven it over and over. The thing that upsets me the most about this is not only the fact that lives were lost and people's lives have been changed, and once again, it's another school, is the fact that America didn't get to see any of it. And it was only pushed because those who are smaller creators decided to bring it to light.
Anything you want to add, Tachi, on that?
Yes, this actually, they're refusing. This can never be their fault. They've kicked the can down the road. So let me give a real estate example. I'm sure LaLa will appreciate this. If you remember, it's been how many years now since the collapse of the Surfside condos? I want to say that was 2017.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
So it's been about 8 years now. Now, part of what happened with that here and LaLa knows this, in Florida, and everywhere else, these condos are owned. A lot of the condos here are older. They've got a lot of new ones, but some of the condos here are older, and they have these condo boards, right? And the condo boards are basically residents. So what happens is you have your condo fees, but once you get to a certain age with the building, and especially here, there are some things that are not up to code, and you need to fix these things. Well, nobody wants to pay the assessment, or people can't, and so they kick the can down the road, and they keep putting off things and putting off things. And unfortunately, what happened with the Surfside condos is they put it off so long that the building collapsed.
Yes. Yes.
So, and it was unfortunate, right? But that's what is happening here. They keep passing the buck and putting off what the actual problem is, and now things are collapsing. The problem is, as LaLa said, the radicalization of non-melanated young men, the anger of the unfounded anger of these young men, and not doing anything about it, and the prevalent pew-pew culture we have in this country, and not doing anything about that. People can do what they want. I am vehemently anti-pew-pew. I don't like them at all. I don't feel there's any reason to have one. We're not in the age where we're hunting anymore. I don't think there's any reason to have one. Now, I'm not going to stop anybody from having one, but the people have them out of fear, and somehow they think that they're going to be able to thwart a robbery or whatever. There are no statistics to show that people who have pew-pews successfully always, there are no statistics that show that. It just makes people feel better and safer. Fine. If that's what you believe, again, I'm not going to encroach upon your right to have one because that's afforded in the Constitution. But that's exactly what the problem is. You have a whole bunch of people that are fearful, and I don't want to hear people saying, but you know, as long as you're trained, no, you have it out of fear of what could happen. So instead of addressing that, they lean on the Second Amendment and the Second Amendment rights. And our forever president, President Obama, said this at one point, that people are fearful and they cling to their guns. Of course, they're clinging to their guns because it's true. You all just don't like the truth. So that's part of, those are two of the big problems here. And they're kicking the can down the road. They're not taking the assessment, and this building is crumbling.
Shit, it's already all the way on the ground. We sending people in to find out if anybody's alive. That's where we are.
Yeah, you're right. It's collapsed. It has collapsed.
So Regina says, here's the real narrative. They are disturbed individuals, and they're all online involved in these extreme groups. Where are the investigations into these hate groups? It does not matter what side. Regina also says, they keep saying, quote, radicalize, unquote, without any intervention. So it seems those in charge are okay with these shootings. Kirk's, quote, assassination, unquote, was no different, but they avoid the actual problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on to our next conversation piece. Kash Patel. Claiming
unqualified higher DEI. Let me tell you,
Epstein did not traffic young girls. I don't know whether people are watching live or on the replay or listening on replay. I want to put a challenge to see if people can tolerate watching 5 minutes of him in this hearings last week. That was.
Oh no. I know I can't. I've seen enough.
He did not have a good week. He showed himself to be completely an idiot and an ass. He understands no protocol. He's so worried about himself that he doesn't even worry about what he's doing or what his job is. He doesn't know what his job is. Not only are people from both sides calling for his resignation, and I do mean both sides. There are many Republicans who are Trump supporters that are saying, what is he doing here? Because he obviously doesn't know what he's doing. He botched what happened in Utah. Y'all do know that, right? Y'all saw how they sent him out here and he just sat there with his big old eyes like he didn't know what was going on. They sent him for things that he
had someone arrested, and they had not had someone arrested yet.
Oh, yes, exactly. He absolutely knew nothing. So, you know, the fact that we continue to still call for the Epstein files is a problem for this administration. So everybody is definitely trying to whitewash it. But here is the fact. This is not alleged. This is not something that hasn't been proven. We absolutely know that Epstein was convicted, as well as Maxwell being convicted of sex trafficking minors. There are many, many, many unsealed documents and depositions and allegations and first-person survivors who are coming out and speaking about this and giving their testimonies. And for him to come out and say that this isn't this, there's nothing to see here. Never mind the wizard behind the curtain. And no one ever wants to talk about the survivors who are still speaking out about this. This, once again, is another whitewash, them pretending that something is not happening. Just like Bonnie comes out and always comes out like, huh? What? President. But they try to steer things clear of what the actual truths are. You cannot say this doesn't exist when people went to prison and survivors are still speaking out about it. This will not go away. This is going to continue to be a thorn in their side. And him saying that it doesn't exist doesn't make it the truth.
Okay, before Dr. Tachi responds, I think I've pulled up a clip of him, Mr. Patel, saying this. Okay, let's see.
Hard, because he's hard watch.
So here we go. Oh, it's on mute. Here we go.
Have you seen the Epstein files?
I have not reviewed the entirety of it myself, but a good amount.
You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
The sky is falling, Chicken Little. You cannot say this doesn't exist. You cannot say for what you know, because this has already been proven. This is nothing but a serious cover-up, and everyone who is around Orange is kissing his ass. And they're going to continue to push this narrative that is false, because the more they say it, they think the more people will now believe it. But even some of the hardcore MAGA Kool-Aid drinkers are starting to really turn around and go, wait a minute, you promised us this, but it's not happening, and why? I'm not for all this, bump around and find out stuff, because that takes us all down. We knew that from the very beginning. But these lies, these conspiracies, these whitewashing of things that we already know, these evidence are self-true, right? You cannot rewrite history just because you want it to be so.
Dr. Tachi?
Let me first say that I can't stand self-hating people of color, which Kash Patel is, which predicates every move he makes, because the closer he can prove himself to being to whiteness is the better he thinks he will be and be treated. So I can't stand that. If I can't stand anything, I hate self-hating people of color. Second of all, you can see that he really does not know what he's doing, and he doesn't know anything by the response to, who is the gentleman from California, the senator from California?
Newsom?
No, he's the governor.
No. That's the governor. No, the senator from California.
I can't think of his name right now.
I can't think of his name, but he does this little series where he talks to people on, the train that takes you around the the bottom of the Senate and such. So he does this little series. It's actually really cool. So he was actually pressing Patel on all of this, to which he was basically like, I can't hear you, la 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 la, just like a child.
Wow.
It was despicable. He lacks couth. He lacks respect for the office. He's just a despicable individual. But that also lets you know, number one, that he's not qualified for the job, because anybody who has worked in positions like that before knows that there is a certain way, up until this point, even if you don't agree with the people, they know there is a certain level of decorum that you have to employ to use this, because you're going to work with all sorts of people. You are going to, at some point, you may be in front of Congress. You're going to need to know how to conduct yourself properly to get your point across. But he's never mastered that skill, because he's never been in a situation like this before. I don't know if you saw when Jasmine Crockett basically called him a failure. He said, let's talk about why you're such a failure in this.
Yes. Oh my God, I love her.
Exactly. But you notice he didn't push back so much. She said, I didn't ask you a question, as he started to.
So did. Sometimes I gotta have my pom-poms out, because she just make me happy.
Exactly. But that's how first of all, that's the only language they understand. And that's how you have to be, because they've proven that you cannot be civil with barbarians. And every single one of them are barbarians. So you cannot be civil with them. You have to treat them in the barbaric manner that they're used to being, that they deal with you with, because that's all they understand. And not saying that they were dealing with them barbarically. They were just forceful and saying, oh, no, you won't, especially Jasmine Crockett. So, but, my point being that if anybody is annoyed with him or anybody really feels he can't do the job, it's because he can't. And it's not just him. And this will not be the first that I think Republicans are starting to see that they're holding on to, not just holding on to power, but the party above Republic is starting to take them down. There are serious cracks, and they're always party above Republic. I think almost all of them know that this cannot fly.
No.
That this is not working. They know. But because they are party above the good of the Republic, the most individualistic kind of individualism, they're going to stick beside, well, I'll stand beside them because they are party first. But this is starting to weaken, and it's already cracked. They're trying to hold it together with masking tape, but the glue is gone from the masking tape. So they just, how when it peels and you just kind of keep trying to put it so that it will hold, that's what they're doing, but it's not holding. I'm finished.
Regina says Kash Patel needs to go to prison, period. Katrina says OMG. Regina says Blondie is on video saying she not only read the documents but seen videos from the Epstein files and they were disgusting. He also said he had not read most of the files. Patel is I'm not going to say that word, and maybe the person you're thinking about, Dr. Tachi, is it George Latimer?
You know what? I'm looking at him right now. Why can't I think of his name? But his name is not in the. I can't see it in the article. Yeah, I will look for it and then I'll tell you.
No worries. All right.
I think it's Ted Lieu, isn't it? I think that's him.
Yes. Ted Lieu. I like it.
Yes. Lieu, yes. He was going in on Mr. Patel too during the hearings also.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right. And people will say, and I know some male people say, well, why should we be paying attention to that? We need to be paying attention because those are people's rights.
Yes.
That are being violated, disenfranchised people's rights. So if they can do it possibly to them, or people like us
coming after you. They're already coming after us.
That's true. There you go. Next conversation. 47 ordered Park Service to remove historic 1863 photograph of the scourged back. LaLa, you wanted to bring this one up.
I do, because it's very important for us to protect our history. And I will always speak out of that. First of all, I want to encourage you all to make sure that you are going out and collecting the books and going out to the sites that have been unaffected by this so that you can continue to teach our children the true history. I hate to say it, but I grew up in the 70s, and yes, I grew up with Schoolhouse Rock and all those things, and I believed all those things about America. It wasn't until I got older that I learned the truth. But I know one thing, that my mother made sure that she showed me pictures of my great-great-grandfather that also had these scars on his back. Now, this image is an 1863 photograph that is an enslaved man. His name was Peter, but they also called him Gordon or Whipped Pete. And it shows severe whipping on his back. And it became a very powerful symbol during the Civil Rights War and the abolitionist movement. This graphic is a depiction of the brutality of slavery, and it helped people to understand in a visual way what enslaved people went through. Now, Trump wants to whitewash and say that any kind of history that references slavery or anything that is disparaged it is now, under his executive order that is called Restoring Truth. I want you to hear what I say. This is his order, Restoring Truth. and sanity to American history. And what that means for him and all of his cronies is only the good about white, that the white people are always the savior. Everyone else didn't matter. No one else had a hand in building America. They don't want to expose the blood that was shed upon American soil for whiteness. Whiteness is just that. That's supposed to be pure to them. So this order instructs the Department of the Interior and Parks and Recs and all those, any kind of monuments or memorials or markers that are referencing these horrendous things that happened in our history to be whitewashed. And they are claiming, they're coming out and they're speaking. I love the Parks and Recs Facebook group. They keep it real. Okay, they keep it real. They keep us knowing what's going on in the background. They have their own little code that they speak to each other about, and then they let us know what's going on. The whitewashing of America will never happen if we don't allow it. You can take the picture down at the monument, but you can't keep the history out of our mouths and out of our homes. So this is a continuation of what they want in America, that everything is white. They have such a fear of us and our greatness and what they have done to us. And as Aisha says, they fear that when we overshadow their numbers, that we're going to do to them what they have done to us. This is their great fear, and this is why they want it to be whitewashed. This is why they're coming to that one company that they're rewriting all this history, the ones that they're putting out the animations where Frederick Douglass comes out and says, America, we did have slavery, but it helped us. No, it did not. And we are still feeling the effects of slavery to this day. Our DNA, I don't care what anybody says, our DNA remembers these things. They are passed down cellularly to generations and generations and generations. So just because you say it isn't so, doesn't make it truth.
Dr. Tachi, again, you are involved in education. What are your thoughts on a significant part of American history and African American history being whitewashed in the educational field?
Well, let me speak to what LaLa said. It's absolutely 100% true. That is called epigenetics. And that's the study of looking at how trauma is stored in the genes. Now, that doesn't mean it can't go away, but it takes a lot of work for that to happen. And so that's why there's something called it's post-traumatic stress syndrome, but it's post-traumatic, I would call it enslavement syndrome, because you're carrying the DNA of your ancestors who experience traumatic things. And so you also react in the same way. So 100% true, epigenetics. Okay, so again, you can't, the stupid thing is that these people think they can erase what I just sit here and almost laughed, and I'm like, really? Your time would be better spent doing something useful. You aspire to have all the money in the world. Work on that. Maybe become a gazillionaire. Maybe that will make you happy. You already are on the path to that. Do that, because what you're trying to do is impossible. First of all, the internet remembers everything. It cannot be erased. It is there. And so much of this history is already digitized, and people are doing the work of digitizing these things. And so it exists and predates you and your Edict of Milan. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I'm just trying to think about the thought process that would make you think that you saying it is not so makes it not so. That's not the way any of this works, as the saying goes, right? That is not how it works. So I am not fearful at all. People are fearful because, they're taking down things. They're things that are digitized, things that are, and let's be clear. the burden of education is not just on educational systems. Again, I don't do K through 12. I am university, right? At one point, you thought those places would be exempt from this, but now they're not. But this is really in terms of K through 12 and educating your children. That's also your job. And I'm not just pointing at people of color. I am specifically pointing at non-melanated people, at white people. This is really your job to educate. If you're on the side of right, this is your job to educate your children. So this homeschooling thing or this educating beyond the classroom, this is your job as well. Teach them the truth. Don't just take it lying down there, taking these things. No. First of all, make sure that you, number one, go and get a copy from the National Archives. You can order a copy of the Constitution, and there's a book on it. As soon as all this came out, I went and I ordered it because I knew it was going to be in its original form, untouched. And I downloaded the original cursive document as well. The Declaration of Independence and all of that. So get your historical documents, right, from all these places in the National Archives. That includes also the history of people of color, etc., from all of these places, right? Number two, don't rely. We've already seen that these people can't be trusted. Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened, but you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Don't rely on these okay. Don't rely on these factions to do the education for you. You should be educating your children and do the work to educate others. I remember years ago, one of my sorority sisters, an older member, she was looking at me, she said, "Ain't you African?" I was like, "Yes." "All right, come to our church and talk a little bit about Africa." I'm like, "Okay, that's broad, but I will." So I went to her church and I actually came up with a lesson. I kind of related it to, talked about a little bit historically, but also some figures in the arts now that are from Africa so that they could see these different things. That's what it will take. Churches, you should do this too. And I know everybody is afraid of losing funding. Well, guess what? If we care about the truth, we have to self-fund.
Baby, it ain't gonna be no problem anyway. They're gonna defund you for whatever reason they want to anyway.
Exactly.
They're going to, because all this money is going in their pocket. All these visa fees, all these things that they're doing, this money is going into their pockets. We're not going to find out the truth about where a lot of this money is coming from until many, many years after the fact, that they are still living high off the hog.
Yes.
Comments. Free Will says, "I have a photo worse than that. I won't share it on my channel." He says, "I will email it." Well, you can email it to me. I'm not going to post it here. Katrina says, "OMG." Free Will says, "I actually will post it just for folks to look at what we're doing." Okay. And then the postcard, Regina says, "The postcard project has been online for many years. And it's called Without Sanctuary, unquote, and shows graphic photos of lynchings." All right. We're finally at our last conversation piece. LaLa, South Korea flies home 300 Hyundai workers detained in ICE raids.
These people
Why are you smiling like that?
Because these people are stupid. Let me tell you something. The person who called in on this Hyundai plant, she can't even pronounce Hyundai. She keeps saying Hyundai. She keeps saying Hyundai. She doesn't know how to do it. So let me tell you who did it. Her name is Tori. And she is a Tori Braun. She's a former U.S. Marine who actually is a part of MAGA, and she's also known as MAGA Karen. She's running for District 12 in Congress in Georgia. She called ICE on an automotive plant that is being built by Hyundai. There are people from South Korea that they're on correct visas with all the correct paperwork. Everything. If you know anything, baby, these Koreans and China and all these Asian companies, they don't play around when it comes to paperwork. They cross their I's and dot their T's and vice versa to make sure that it's right in all places. So they're building an auto plant down there. And I do believe it's to the tune of about 8,500 jobs were going to be created for this by 2031. And they were coming to train Americans, not only people coming in from Korea, but also train Americans for these jobs, which are so desperately needed. So this Karen decided she was going to call and be part of MAGA, have ICE come. They detained 475 people. The majority of them were Korean nationals, with many other from various countries. All of them had the right paperwork, but ICE shackled them. They shackled their hands, they shackled their feet. They were not given water. They were not getting, and this is in the heat, y'all. Some were detained that were actual engineers and technicians that were specifically brought over to help install equipment to make this plant workable. And guess what South Korea did after they did this to their people? They said, "Oh, no. Don't you worry about sending our people home. We will come with our private planes. We will chart them, our private planes, and bring them home. Don't you dare touch them. Don't you look at them anymore. Our paperwork is in order, and this is what's going to happen next. We're bringing our people home." Trump's administration went and stopped the plane and begged for them to stay. And guess what the government said? Nah, we don't need to be here. We're bringing our people home. And rumor has it, hasn't been completely announced officially yet, is that they are no longer going to be building this plant at all. So 8,500 jobs and a multi-million factory building cars in America has now been torn to shreds by one MAGA Karen. And the Trump administration can't save it.
Dr. Tachi?
That's what they get. If ever there was an FAFO moment, this is it.
Okay. All right.
They will cut off their noses to spite their own faces. And this is what happens. You have to understand, I think, Americans think that they are the toughest in the world. That what you have to understand is other cultures don't take disrespect lightly. So try and play around if you want to. And you're like, oh, no, we don't need you. Other cultures, there are so many other cultures who don't beg. No. Just remember that.
No.
All right. On that note, I think we are done. Okay. Before we close it out, there were some comments from the big. Katrina says, so many people do not have the stomach to teach their children because they don't want their children to feel like they're responsible for what has happened. Regina says, I taught it all as a public school teacher, had no complaints, talking about slavery. Regina also says, wow, did not know about the shackles, horrendous. Back near the beginning, Enlightened says, LaLa sold me my house. Enlightened being says,
oh, wow.
Peter Ray says, sorry to hear that, Regina. I hope things get better. What do we else we got here? Regina says, house was being renovated, had to move out. Then they finished 2 weeks early, so I had to move back. It's all
wow.
good.
Oh, that's good. It's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
So that's a good thing. So those are up. And let's see. And Katrina says, Americans think they know everything. All right. Ladies, want to say thank you for taking the most valuable thing, your time to hang out with us today. As always, before we let you exit stage left, as a certain Tachi would say at the end of her broadcasts, we just want to get some contact information. So first things, well, since she is not here, this is how you can get a hold of Aisha. Instagram, AK Staggers, Medium, AK Aisha Staggers on Medium, Blue Sky, akstaggers.bsky.social, friendomedia, friendomedia.com, and Substack, Aisha K. Staggers. Next up, we've got Dr. Tachi in the fold, and there we go.
Yeah, you can reach me on all of these platforms. Instagram is a really great way to get at me at Dr_Tachi. Ask any questions. I'm open for it. And make sure that you are watching IndieSoup Media. We broadcast Monday through Friday from about 4 o'clock on there. You could go to youtube.com /@IndieSoup Media and watch the amazing programming. Listen, if we haven't seen anything else from this week, it's that the mainstream media are not going to serve us in the way that they used to, if they ever did. Independent is it, and the time is now. So support IndieSoup Media and tell your friends.
Thank you again, Dr. Tachi, as always.
Mm-hmm.
All right, in the house, LaLa time. So,
Yes,
LaLa, how can people get a hold of you?
I like to make everything easy. So you can just go to my website, which is laurakey.net. But I have something very exciting that I want to share with you today on my site. You can go there. And if you've ever been interested in being a part of the change of the world with this media, and you love video, you love podcasting, you love everything about live streaming, but you don't even know where to start, and also to build your business, whatever you want to do, influencing or just reporting or just even having podcasts, you can do it. But first of all, you've got to understand how it works a little bit. I've been doing this thing a long time. So I have a course for you to do that. This is my website right here, laurakey.net. You just need to go to the menu and drop down where it says content creation. And then you're going to come to this page. And I have a series for real estate agents because why not? That's what I do. But I also have for regular people who just really want to get over the fears of being able to put themselves out here on video. We go through 30 days worth of information on helping you to be the best broadcaster possible. It's us who make the difference. Your voice matters. So why don't you jump on in, because you can sign up for the free newsletter that already gives you tips and tricks, and then you can join me for the course. So I look forward to seeing you in class.
Love it. Thank you so much, LaLa. Appreciate that. 150%. And with myself, if you want to get a hold of me, I've followed the LaLa thing. One link. So you can get a hold of me at toplink.cc /the DRVIBESHOW. And they'll give you email address. All the platforms that you can listen and hear me on are all in that link. So we've made that really, really, really easy. I think we got 2 more comments here. Let's see what we got. All right. Free Will says, have a great evening, y'all. Yeah. And that's it. So this is how we end off our conversations. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history and try to do both and always make it better. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith and walk good. We'll see you soon.
To understand how afraid I am of any member of the rodent family that's down to squirrels and chipmunks. Okay? I cannot stand all members of the rodent family. Rabbits, bunnies, no. What else is going on that day? I mean, is there something we're supposed to be doing?
Why are you going there? Why are you going there? You know I'm going to ask you. It falls the same day as the inauguration of the new president.
So what? Excuse me? I'm sorry?
So in other words, Monday.
So onesies. Now, folks, don't ever think you're going to see us all on a show with onesies on. Don't do that.
You might see me. You might see me.
You'll see me and LaLa, because we oftentimes wear ours.